Daniel warned us, when you see these 7 signs, it's already too late. What if I told you the world isn't falling apart by accident? That everything happening, from chaos in government, to wars, to technology going wild, was predicted? What if I told you the book of Daniel gives us 7 clear signs? And when you see them, it's already too late. Number 1, a covenant confirmed with Israel. Imagine the world on the edge, not just the edge of war, not just the edge of economic collapse, but the edge of a new world system. A crisis is brewing. Chaos is building. And in the middle of it all, one man steps forward. He doesn't come with armies. He doesn't shout or wave flags. He comes with a document, a promise, a peace treaty. And the world listens. Why? Because this covenant he offers sounds like the answer we've all been waiting for. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. That's Daniel 9:27. It may be the most important verse in all of Bible prophecy, because according to Daniel, this covenant starts the clock. The moment it's confirmed, the final 7 years before the return of Christ begin. Not maybe, not possibly. It begins. And once it begins, nothing will stop it. No elections, no protests, no negotiations. The countdown is locked in. So what is this covenant? Who confirms it? And what does it mean for you? Let's walk through it, step by step. Let's break this down. First, the he in this passage is not just any man. It's the coming Antichrist. He will confirm an existing one. That word confirm in Hebrew implies something already in play. A treaty, an agreement, perhaps even a set of peace talks already underway. And it will involve many. This won't be just any peace deal. This will be the most celebrated deal in human history. And it will do what no agreement has ever done. It will allow the rebuilding of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. That's right. That holy site that has been in the middle of centuries of conflict, it will suddenly be open for construction. And the Jews will begin to offer sacrifices again, just like in the Old Testament. To the world, this will seem like a religious revival. To heaven, it will be a final warning. Let's pause, because here's the part that sends chills down your spine. The stage is already being built. Did you know? The Temple Institute in Jerusalem already has blueprints for the Third Temple. They have trained priests. They have built altars, prepared utensils, even bred red heifers. The high priest of Israel is now ready. Reports are coming in that Rabbi Baruch Kahan is now appointed as the high priest. But here's what will shock you. In ancient Israel, the high priest was the most important spiritual leader. He was the one who entered the Holy of Holies, the sacred room in the temple, once a year on Yom Kippur. He carried the sins of the people before God, asking for forgiveness. The temple was destroyed in 70 AD, and the high priest's role vanished. For 2 millennia, this sacred position has been empty. But what if I told you some people believe the temple is about to return, and with it, the high priest? Rabbi Baruch is a scholar, a teacher, and a man deeply connected to Jewish tradition. Some reports say he's been named as a potential high priest by the Sanhedrin, a group of Jewish leaders trying to revive ancient practices. The Sanhedrin are serious about preparing for the Third Temple. They believe Rabbi Kahan could be the one to lead sacrifices and prayers if the temple is rebuilt. Here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just talk. The Sanhedrin has already trained priests, made sacred vessels, and even practiced animal sacrifices. They're ready. They have built altars, prepared utensils, even bred red heifers. There was a lot of excitement around the world when 5 red heifers arrived in Israel. Why would cows cause global excitement? The answer will astound you. According to the Jerusalem Post, a Christian farmer from Texas had raised and shipped 5 unblemished red heifers, which were then delivered to the Temple Institute in Jerusalem. These heifers were inspected and approved by Jewish rabbis. Upon their arrival, a group of about 300 people welcomed them, with one person blowing the shofar, a horn used in Jewish ceremonies. In Judaism, the arrival of a red heifer signifies the coming of the Messiah. Christians and Jews agree something massive is about to happen. In accordance with Judaistic customs, only 9 perfect red heifers were used between the time of the tabernacle to AD 70, when the Roman soldiers destroyed the Second Temple. The possible arrival of a 10th perfect red heifer brings hope for the Messiah's appearance and the reconstruction of the temple. 9 in history. Now we have 5 candidates for number 10. Believed that the 10th animal would only be found and sacrificed when King Messiah was ready to appear. What if the Messiah they're expecting isn't who they think it is? We're not just reading ancient prophecy, we're watching it unfold in real time. Rabbi Baruch Kahane may be about to step into the most significant role in 2,000 years. The temple may be about to rise, and the final 7 years may be about to begin. The question isn't whether these prophecies will be fulfilled. The question is, when they are, will you be ready? Number 2. The daily sacrifice is stopped. Imagine this. Jerusalem is alive with activity. A new temple stands on the Temple Mount. Levites in sacred garments move through the courts. Priests perform daily sacrifices once again. Smoke rises from the altar. Shofars blow. The rhythm of ancient worship returns. And for the first time in over 2,000 years, Israel is practicing what the Bible calls the daily sacrifice. But Daniel saw something chilling in this picture of revival. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Daniel 9:27. But who stops it? And why? This moment is one of the biggest turning points in Bible prophecy. It doesn't begin with chaos, it begins with peace. 3.5 years in, Israel wakes up, ready for their morning offering. The priests are dressed, the fire is lit, the lamb is prepared, but the doors are locked. And standing in the holy place is not a priest. Who is he? This is the Antichrist, the one who confirmed the covenant, the one who looked like a savior, but now reveals himself as a deceiver. He enters the temple not to worship God, but to exalt himself. He declares that sacrifice is no longer needed because he claims to be God. This isn't just a political event. This is the midpoint of the tribulation. From this point on, judgment falls faster, harder, louder. This is when the Great Tribulation begins. Number 3. The Abomination of Desolation. What if Jesus himself warned us about an event so terrifying that when it happens, people should literally drop everything and run for their lives? Here's what most people don't realize. Jesus clearly referenced a future event in Daniel 9:27 when speaking about the Abomination of Desolation. But here's where it gets interesting and disturbing. In Matthew 24:15-16, Jesus says, "So when you see the abomination of desolation, the appalling sacrilege that astonishes and makes desolate, spoken of by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains for refuge." But what could be so horrifying that Jesus would tell people to run without looking back? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will connect dots you never knew existed. Now, here's something that will blow your mind about the book you might think you know. The Lord didn't reveal the future just to satisfy our curiosity, but rather to prepare us for what's to come, so that we won't be caught off guard or misunderstand it. It's important to be grateful that Jesus shared this knowledge with us so openly and honestly, but are we really paying attention to what he told us? Jesus warned that an event would occur in the temple that would cause people to detest and feel disgust or hatred. But it gets worse. This event would lead to complete emptiness or destruction, also known as desolation. When this happens, the residents of Judea should seek cover without delay. Imagine something so appalling that Jesus says, "Run, don't pack, don't look back, just run." Different translations refer to this event as the abomination that causes desolation, the sacrilegious object that causes desecration, or that horrible thing. The Amplified Bible explains that the abomination of desolation is the appalling sacrilege that astonishes and makes desolate. But there's more to this story, much more. Now, let me take you back in time to unlock a mystery that's been hidden for centuries. During a particular moment, Daniel had a realization that the 70 years of captivity were about to end. While he was praying, Gabriel, who was caused to fly swiftly, arrived at that moment around the time of the evening sacrifice. Gabriel informed Daniel that he was greatly beloved, which was a tremendous tribute coming from God himself. But what Gabriel revealed next would change everything. He then gave Daniel an outline of the future history of the Jewish nation, using the figure of 70 weeks. Each week represented 7 years. Here's what will leave you speechless. The phrasing of some translations suggests that the abomination of desolation is an object, while in others it appears to be a person. For instance, "On the wing of abominations shall come one who makes desolate." Daniel 9:27. Is it a thing? Or is it someone? What if it's both? Regardless of whether the abomination of desolation is a person or a thing, Daniel predicted the following. Now, here's where history becomes prophecy's rehearsal. In 167 BC, the prophecies of Daniel about the abomination of desolation appeared to have a partial fulfillment. A Greek ruler named Antiochus IV desecrated the temple in Jerusalem by calling himself Epiphanes, Illustrious One, or God Manifest. But what he did next was so horrific, it became the blueprint for something far worse to come. He set up an altar to Zeus over the altar of burnt offering and sacrificed a pig on it. Antiochus committed many atrocities, slaughtering numerous Jews and selling others into slavery. He even issued decrees prohibiting circumcision and mandating Jews to sacrifice to pagan gods and consume pig meat. But here's the chilling part. Antiochus's actions were certainly abominable, but they did not entirely fulfill Daniel's prophecy. For instance, Antiochus did not make a 7-year covenant with Israel. Moreover, in Matthew 24, Jesus spoke of Daniel's prophecy as having a future fulfillment, even though Antiochus had committed his evil acts 200 years prior. If that was just the preview, what will the main event look like? This abomination of desolation prophecy is yet to take place and will take place in the future. During the end times, Jesus referred to the Antichrist who would make a 7-year covenant with Israel, but then break it by committing sacrilege in the temple, similar to what Antiochus Epiphanes did. The abomination of desolation referred to by Jesus may be the image of the beast, which the false prophet, the right-hand man of the Antichrist, will command to be erected and worshipped. Revelation 13:14. An image that people will be forced to worship. Sound familiar from history? Of course, for Matthew 24:15 to be yet future. The temple in Jerusalem will have to be rebuilt before the tribulation begins. Number 4. The resurrection of the dead. Daniel 12. What if I told you? Stop everything you're doing right now and listen carefully. That the dead will rise again? Not as zombies, not as ghosts, but as living, breathing people. You think death is the end? Think again. The Bible predicts a coming resurrection, a moment when every person who has ever lived will rise again, some to everlasting life, others to eternal shame. Every single person, from Adam to the last human born, all of them, rising. The prophecy of Daniel warns us about this moment, and today we're going to dive into one of the most mysterious events in human history, the final awakening. But here's what most people don't realize about this resurrection. Daniel 12, verse 2-3. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. Sleep in the dust. What a haunting way to describe death. This is one of the most chilling verses in the Bible. Daniel saw a time when the dead would rise from their graves, graves splitting open, bodies reforming, consciousness returning. And the biggest question is, when will this happen? The answer will shock you, because the timeline has already been revealed. The Bible describes two different resurrections. The resurrection of the righteous, when believers in Christ receive eternal life. The resurrection of the wicked, when unbelievers face judgment. Two separate events, two different outcomes, one incredible truth. These aren't just symbolic events, they are real. And the timeline? It's already been revealed. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Picture this scene: Christ descending, a shout that echoes across the universe, graves everywhere bursting open. The righteous dead rise first, not for judgment, for reward. Not for condemnation, for celebration. But what about everyone else? What about those who rejected God? That's where the story takes a dark turn. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and books were opened. Kings and peasants, rich and poor, all standing together before the throne. The second resurrection is called the Great White Throne Judgment. This is when those who rejected God are resurrected, but not for salvation. They stand before God's throne and are judged for their deeds. Those not found in the book of life are cast into the lake of fire. This is the final judgment. Imagine being resurrected only to face eternal condemnation. But this is only the beginning, because what happens next will shock the world. Number 5. The rise of the kings of the North and South. Now, let me tell you about a war that will make every conflict in human history look like a playground fight. At the time of the end, the king of the South shall attack him, and the king of the North shall come against him like a whirlwind. For thousands of years, this prophecy has remained a mystery. Who are these two great kings? Could we be witnessing their rise right now? And what does this mean for the final days of history? The pieces are falling into place, and soon these two powerful forces will clash. And when they do, it will change the world forever. But here's what's terrifying. The stage is already being set. At the time of the end, the king of the South shall attack him, And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, horsemen, and with many ships. And he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. This prophecy has baffled scholars for centuries, and yet, as we speak, the world is shaping itself to fulfill it. Look around. Do you see the players taking their positions? Daniel 11 is one of the longest and most detailed prophecies in the Bible. Most of it describes events that have already happened: the rise and fall of Persia, Greece, and Rome, the persecution of Israel. But something changes in verse 40. Suddenly, Daniel shifts from past history to future prophecy. And that's where things get interesting and terrifying. This is not just a regional conflict. This is a global power struggle. And the Bible tells us exactly what will happen. The king of the south will strike first. The king of the north will respond with overwhelming force. The war will expand and lead to a massive invasion. This war will be a tipping point in the final days. But before we look at who these kings are today, let's break down the battle itself. What you're about to discover will connect current events in ways that will amaze you. The prophecy tells us that the king of the south will be the first to attack. But what does that mean? It could be a direct military invasion from a Middle Eastern power, an economic war, cutting off oil, controlling global resources, cyber warfare, crippling systems and governments. However it happens, this attack will provoke a massive response. And when the king of the north retaliates, it will be like a whirlwind. Think about that word. Whirlwind. Sudden. Devastating. Unstoppable. The Bible describes this counterattack as a whirlwind. This is not a slow, drawn-out war. This is a lightning-fast, overwhelming takeover. Expect rapid military advancements, shocking, unstoppable force, nations falling one after another. This war will not be normal. It will be swift, brutal, and world-changing. But here's the part that should terrify world leaders. The prophecy says the king of the north will enter nations, overwhelm them, and pass through. This means he won't just attack, he will invade. He will take over multiple countries with ease. No one will be able to stop him. Could this be the beginning of a global empire? Could this leader be the one we've been warned about? The Antichrist himself. For centuries, Bible scholars have debated the identity of the king of the south. But to unlock this mystery, we need to look back at history, because history holds the key to understanding what's coming next. And what you're about to learn will blow your mind. In Daniel's time, the king of the south was most often associated with Egypt. But what about today? Today, Egypt is still a major player in the region. But it's not alone. Because now, we see the rise of a coalition. Nations uniting under one cause. Look at what's happening right now in the Middle East. In today's world, the king of the south could be a coalition of Middle Eastern and North African nations. Oil-rich nations with global influence. And right now, these nations are aligning like never before. They are strengthening military alliances, building economic partnerships, pushing for greater regional influence. And soon, this alliance may strike first. But here's what's really chilling about this war. And here's the thing. This war isn't just about land. It's about power. It's about who controls the future. And when these kings collide, it will set the stage for the greatest deception in human history. The Antichrist's rise to power. Could this battle between the kings of the North and South be part of an even bigger war? Many scholars believe Daniel 11 and Ezekiel 38 are connected. Because Ezekiel speaks of a massive invasion, one led by a northern power against Israel. And when you compare both prophecies, the similarities are chilling. What if this isn't just one war, but the beginning of the end? Could the king of the South's attack be the spark that leads to the final war? And if so, how close are we? Look around you. The signs are everywhere. Every day, we see the pieces moving into place. Right now, we are watching the Middle East strengthening its alliances, conflicts brewing between global superpowers, talks of new economic systems and military coalitions, and the Bible tells us what happens next. This war is coming, but here's the part that will change everything. But this is only half the story, because once the king of the South makes his move, the king of the North will rise, and when he does, the world will never be the same again. So who is this northern power? The answer might surprise you. In every age, the king of the North has been a dominant empire that ruled from the north of Israel. From the Seleucid Empire of ancient Greece to the Roman Empire, and later the Ottoman Empire, one thing remains the same. A northern power always rises. But today, a new power is emerging, and it may be stronger than them all. Two candidates are emerging from the shadows. Candidate number 1, the bear awakens. Let's start with the most obvious contender, Russia. A military force feared around the world. And right now, Russia is already shaking the world stage. Another powerful nation to the north of Israel is Turkey. For centuries, Turkey was the heart of the Ottoman Empire, a superpower that once ruled Jerusalem itself. And now, it's making moves again. Right now, we don't know exactly which nation will rise as the true king of the North. But one thing is clear. It will be a leader with power, strategy, and a thirst for control. And when this leader emerges, he will set his sights on the king of the South, and the world will never be the same again. He shall enter the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. After this war begins, the king of the North will invade Israel itself, and this moment is the beginning of the greatest war in human history. Number 6. The Hidden Prophecy. The sealed book in Daniel. What secrets are yet to be revealed? Imagine discovering a book so powerful, so mysterious, that even the prophet who wrote it was told to seal it up. A book filled with secrets meant only for a future generation. That's exactly what happened in the book of Daniel chapter 12 verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. A sealed book, hidden knowledge, a divine message locked away for thousands of years. What could be inside? And more importantly, could it be opening right now? What if Daniel's book was sealed because the world wasn't ready for the truth? We have reached a chapter that is different from all the other prophecies in the Bible. God is so wise that He knows how much of the future we can handle, how much to tell us, and how much to keep secret. I thank Him that He has kept so much of the future hidden. If He had told us everything, I don't think we could handle it. But what He has shown us is important and is exactly what we need to know. Let me remind you that prophecy is a miracle. The Bible itself is a miracle. People cannot predict the future in detail. We only write history after it has happened. Only God has the power to write history before it happens. That's why some people don't believe it's possible. If you don't believe in God, And if you don't believe in a God of miracles, then you won't believe that the future can be told in such detail. Since God can know and reveal the future, how can a man learn it from God? How could a man like Daniel write about things that had not happened yet? Daniel felt the same way many of us do today. You look at the world, you read the newspaper, you watch the news on TV, and you wonder, what on earth is going on? Where is this all leading? It seems like the world is out of control. What is God doing, and where is He? Daniel was determined to get an answer from God, and now we know that the very first day he prayed, God heard him. God sent an angel with the answer. But there was a battle in the spiritual world. A good angel was bringing the answer to Daniel, but a bad angel tried to stop him. The forces that fought against Daniel's revelation are still fighting today. 3 weeks after Daniel started praying, the angel arrived to tell him the future. The story of the sealed book takes place in Daniel 12. Here it is, the time of trouble destined for Israel. We see that. At that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation. But then, the angel does something unexpected. Instead of explaining the vision fully, he tells Daniel to seal up the prophecy. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Daniel 12, verse 4. Why? Why would God hide this prophecy until the time of the end? Now, there are some important instructions. Daniel is told, the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. It wasn't time for people to fully understand this prophecy yet. This is amazing. Many parts of the Bible weren't written just for the people of that time. They were written for us, so we could read them and be encouraged. Some parts of the Bible come alive in certain situations. Could we be the generation this was written for? It's an exciting thought, isn't it? Daniel was told to seal up the words, but a seal doesn't stay closed forever. Daniel's prophecy was important in his own time, but one day, at the time of the end, his prophecy would matter even more. That is why it was important to shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. In the book of Daniel, we are given a picture of what the time of the end will look like. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Some people believe this means that in the last days, people will travel all over the world, run to and fro, and that information will grow quickly. Knowledge shall increase. The idea is that people will search everywhere for answers to important questions, especially about what will happen in the future. Daniel has already told us enough so that his book can be sealed. From Daniel 11 to Daniel 12, we learn about a world ruler who will fight against God, a world religion that is built on the abomination of desolation, a world war that will bring down the ruler, a time of great trouble for Israel that will last 3.5 years. God's people will be saved after the time of trouble. There will be a resurrection and judgment. The righteous will be rewarded. So Daniel closed the book. Then I, Daniel, looked, and there before me stood 2 others, one on this bank of the river, and one on the opposite bank. 6. One of them said to the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, "How long will it be before these astonishing things are fulfilled?" The man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, lifted his right hand and his left hand toward heaven, and I heard him swear by him who lives forever, saying, "It will be for a time, times, and half a time. When the power of the holy people has been finally broken, all these things will be completed." The angel told another angel in Daniel that these things would happen over 3.5 years. A time, times, and half a time. This 3.5-year period is mentioned in many other Bible prophecies. 1 Peter 1:21 says, "Even the angels long to look into these prophecies and decide what they are all meaning." That means even the angels study God's prophecies, just like we do. One angel asked, "How long will this last? How long will Daniel's people suffer? How much longer must they go through this?" Many believe we are now living in the time of the end. And if that's true, what happens next will be unlike anything the world has ever seen. If that is true, the sealed book is about to be opened. And when it is, everything will change. But one thing is certain: Jesus is coming soon. And the question remains, are you ready? For centuries, people have tried to unlock the mystery of Daniel's sealed book. But here's the thing: it wasn't meant to be understood back then. God said it would remain hidden until the time of the end. And guess what? Many biblical scholars believe that time is now. However, this is not the only prophecy God hid in the Bible. There was also the thunders prophecy.